Okay, this is video number 5, and hopefully this will be the last video for the vitamins. These are getting extremely long. So A and D, we'll start with A. A and D are both hormonal vitamins. They actually act as hormones in the body. Vitamin A is really important for A being a hormone. It's important for your immune function. It's actually very important for vision. And not just kind of all parts of vision. The way the eye structure is, getting the signal from your eye to your brain, all parts of it. This young lady right here has vitamin A deficiency, and what you're seeing is a change in the physical makeup of the eye proteins. I don't know if that point it can be repaired or not. Typically, if it gets that bad, that does cause blindness. We do see this in children around the world. The sad thing about vitamin A is there's two types of vitamin A. There's retinol, which we find in animals, and there's beta carotene, which can be converted to retinol, which we find in plants. It doesn't have to be a fancy plant. Any kind of plant that looks like somebody, a supreme being or aliens, took a crayon and added rich dark color to it. So carrots, most folks kind of know that vitamin A is in carrots as beta carotene, but eggplant, bell peppers, mango, red bell peppers, kale, spinach. Those all have beautiful, rich Crayola colors, right? Greens and purples and oranges and reds. Those are all very good sources of vitamin A, and they're not fancy sources. That deficiency still exists on Earth is sad. For most folks, the kind of deficiency you might see in the world today is night blindness, an inability to see at night, assuming their other vision's fine. But again, yes, you still see vitamin A, not in the U.S. deficiency, not in the U.S., but you still do see it. Toxicity is another issue, though. From taking too much vitamin A, it can cause liver damage. But during pregnancy, it can cause birth defects. And that is why people are not supposed to take vitamin A supplements during pregnancy. And I believe your medical doctor will tell you not to take vitamin A related acne medication, like Accutane. Even that might be too dangerous during pregnancy. So leafy green, all the fruit and vegetables which are really beautiful in color, mangoes, tomato juice, broccoli. Liver is a good source, I believe. Organ meats are a very good source. People don't eat those that much. You aren't seeing retinol in these plants. You're seeing beta carotene. And beta carotene is really safe. So if you were to eat way too much beta carotene, it would color your entire body kind of an orangey color. That's called beta carotenosis. Other than that, though, it's not considered like damaging to the body. Vitamin D is a hormone. Now, its primary function is not your bones. And if you think it is, you've been lied to. Its primary function is to maintain blood calcium levels. Calcium is a mineral. It's really important for your muscular function and your nervous system function. So you want to keep calcium in the blood in a range, not too little, not too much. And vitamin D does all the good things for maintaining your blood calcium. It helps with increasing absorption. It helps with decreasing excretion. But if you're not eating vitamin A, then it also helps to promote breakdown of your bones for calcium. I said vitamin A. If you're not eating calcium, vitamin D will help you break down your bones for it. So it is your friend, sorta, when you eat calcium, correct? It is a vitamin, but you can make it with enough UV exposure. We know that people who live in the northern climates don't get enough UV exposure. Here, these kids are being zapped with Vita rays that made Captain America. And so they're getting their daily or their weekly UV exposure. In kids, we know if you don't get enough vitamin D, you will develop what's called rickets. That's kind of it's not low bone density. That's calcium. That's later in life. In kids, it's more of a structural issue where you see bowing of the bones, bowing of the rib cage. We don't see rickets much anymore. We did used to see it during the industrial age, when kids were sent off to work in factories 24/7 and they never got enough sunlight. We do see osteomalacia, not porosis, malacia. This is a little different than osteoporosis, which is a calcium issue. Osteomalacia can have pain associated with it. It can have some structural impact on the bones. Sometimes the elderly have both osteomalacia and osteoporosis. Vitamin D is a powerful vitamin. It is a hormone. If you take too much, you can hypercalcify some of your soft tissues, like your joints and your wrists and your tendons. Should you take supplements? That is clearly a medical issue. You really folks should be tested. If you don't think you get enough sunlight and you don't really eat any food sources of vitamin D, so I know that fatty fish, fish fat, and milk is a good source. What we don't see up here are the leafy greens, the kale, the broccoli. Those also have vitamin D. If you don't get enough sunlight, nor do you think you eat enough vitamin D, frankly, you should be tested. It's an easy test, and if you have healthcare, hopefully you have healthcare, they'll do it for you. I've been tested. I'm pretty tanned. I get a lot of sun, and yet during the winter months, I still can have low vitamin D, even though I'm out there swimming 3 days a week in the sun. Who would have thought? You do not need to know this little chart here. It talks about vitamin D activation and things like that. It's a little too much detail. And we've talked about E, and the last one we're going to talk about is K, your clotting vitamin. So when your blood clots, there's a number of proteins involved in this clotting process. Some of those involve vitamin K. You also need vitamin K for your bone density. We don't worry about its role in that as much. All newborn infants do get K at birth. Kids are born sterile. So their GI tract has no gut bacteria. Vitamin K is made from friendly bacteria in the gut. So if a child needed to have an IV or they had a medical procedure, and it happens, obviously you don't want them to have a clotting issue. So giving them an oral dose, it's a very safe vitamin. Babies have a little bit of body fat. The extra vitamin K will get into their body fat. They can use that while they're getting their gut bacteria up to snuff. By about month 3, it's a real diaper. Once you introduce real food, it's a real diaper. So who really worries about vitamin K? Not many people. If you had a clotting issue where you actually had a blood clot, they might put you on vitamin K, like a vitamin K restricting diet. So you could go on antibiotics to clean out your GI tract. Yes, you could. You could go on anticoagulants if you had a clotting issue where you had a blood clot. And they would put you on a restriction of these foods. So you're not eating vitamin K. So you can naturally lower your clotting ability. Again, though, for the vast majority of adults, kids, whatever, you don't have to worry about vitamin K. You do make it in the GI tract. And what you get from eating a varied diet is more than enough. But it is a very interesting vitamin. In that infants do get it at birth. It's one of the things we do. It's a standard of care in the U.S. That's it for the vitamin lectures. We don't cover, we're not covering biotin. We're not covering pantothenic acid. I apologize. We're not covering B6 or choline or any of the other odd ones that are hard to teach. That's it. Take care.